Loki, time to review. We're doing the webcomic Slightly Damned today. Aren't you excited? But... I know, but I couldn't wait anymore. I have the title card already, and well, I just wanted to get this out to everybody now. So come on, let's get going. I told you, we're not using that opening anymore. Oh. Title card. Hello everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Season 2. But since technically that doesn't start until January, I've decided to make this one into a pre-Season 2 Episode 0 special! Ooh! Anyway, with this season, I'm going to cover more animal-related media outside of movies. And while I'll still be doing movies mostly, I think it's better to branch out a bit. After all, I did write that on my show page when I started, and the only time I did that were specials. Zip it. In any case, this review will be the start of me doing other things. I don't know if I'll ever get into video games as I still lack the tech for it, so for now let's just talk about the webcomic Slightly Damned. Basically, I stumbled upon this webcomic through an ad one day and decided to check it out. And what I got was some pretty amazing stuff. After reading through every single page, I was so enthralled by it that I just had to share it with the world. And yes, this fits into my criteria since two of the main characters are animal-themed, as well as some minor characters, but it centers around them, so it's acceptable in my opinion. The series was created by a user by the name of Chu in 2004. Let that sink in as you see a rise in quality from beginning to end. Chu herself is pretty accomplished, being a college grad and currently an assistant language teacher. Anyway, the three main characters are as follows. First, there's Rhea Snaketail, a jackeye who was murdered prior to meeting any of the other two characters, and was sent to the ring of the Slightly Damned outside of hell. She has a kind but really tough nature, having little tolerance to the dumb things in life, especially when it happens with Buwaro Alexian. Now, he's a fire demon who isn't at all scary or menacing, but rather goofy and innocent. He's like a giant puppy who has no clue how to think and can be seen as a comedic idiot. However, he has the most caring heart and is willing to do anything for his friends despite whatever limitations he has. Lastly, we have Kieri Zoizan, a water elemental angel who fell from heaven and was also cursed to where she would often become a snow bunny. Despite being a skillful warrior, she has self-esteem issues, mostly stemming from her childhood and how she considers herself a failure, though she's continually getting better and has made great friends with Rhea and Buwaro. Now, despite a small main cast, these three work really well off one another, and it provides some good banter and worthwhile character development. Like with Rhea, she's always secretive and always tries to do things on her own, but as the series goes on, she becomes more open while still holding back on things. Also, after spending enough time with her friends, she knows exactly what makes them tick and can even manipulate them if possible. I'm gonna read a story. It's called The Puppy Who Looked for a Family. Then the puppy realized he had a family all this time. His friends, the two-headed right wyvern, the jackalope, and even the toxic quail. Buwaro, of course, is a huge source of comedy, but of course the reason to it comes from his backstory, which explains so much that it's saddening. So it's interesting to see how he grows past what we started with to what he's like now, as someone trying not to be useless. In any case, this act of innocence added with the fact that many people hate demons makes for some well-executed humor. You again? What are you doing in my house? Eating cookies? He would so say that. Also, his relationship with Kieri is both cute and dangerous because, again, angels and demons are supposed to hate one another. Which does bring me up to Kieri. When she first appeared, she was obviously afraid of Buwaro, but after seeing him for a while, she accepted that he was different, and soon they became friends. Part of her character development comes from her complicated relationship with Buwaro, as while she still despises demons, she doesn't want anything to happen to him. But she still feels like a failure given her personal life, so it's interesting to see how she grows in order to go past that belief of failure and have friends she always wanted. So she definitely becomes a stronger person as the story goes on. Now there are many other characters worth going into, like Buwaro's adoptive siblings Iratu and Sakado, the Sinclair family, and so forth. Many of them are just as unique and interesting as the next. Some are just hilarious to think about, like Iratu, who's pretty much a drunkard when he's not on duty. Lesson number 3. My personal favorite activity, drinking! Drink up, little bro! Even Death himself can be funny.
I love you too.
And this is where I bring up the plot. The story for the most part just plays out like one big adventure involving Rhea after being murdered. However, there are a lot of events going on behind the scenes that are leading up to something big that will likely become the main plot of the series. Many of them tie into one another, like Rhea's murderer, the demons and what they're up to regarding the Pillar of Light in Hell, the Angel in Black who's also in Hell, and more that I don't want to give away right now. It's all covered by the current story arc involving Kieri's brother Kazai and how she's trying to reunite with him. Of course, while the journey in that is worth it just for the laughs and the interesting developments that occur, there's always anticipation for what might happen later and how it all connects. It's like with One Piece, in which while it focuses more on the journey, there's also things going on that are relevant to what will become a major plot point later on. This includes characters you know you're gonna see again, or even learn up on, so there's always something to look forward to. And you know you have a good series when you're always expecting something to happen later, and you theory craft what might happen. It means you're interested. Now, as far as the tone of the story goes, it has a huge emphasis on humor, but includes a lot of drama to where you get a sense of when something is funny and when you're supposed to take it seriously. Which again, a good series can make you do that when thinking about it. With that said, it may seem surreal sometimes how people act around each other, but otherwise it's legit given whatever personalities characters have, so it's more believable than not. The humor is also well written and hardly ever forced. Sometimes you'll even get a giggle out of the few video game references that pop up on occasion, as well as one really funny pop culture reference. The roof. My roof is on fire! Yeah. It definitely keeps in characters, so it makes the situations even more worth it. Now, the world itself is one interesting place. Consisting of the mortal world Medius, heaven and hell, there's a lot to explore and so many things to see, and given how it's all in a fantasy setting, it's like anything can happen. I mean, there are fairies led by a queen who seems to be quite cruel the more you think about her, turtle people we've yet to fully see, as of this writing anyway, towns and places yet to be visited, and after seeing something like St. Curtis, you wish you could go there too. There's imagination to be held with everyone and everything around, which for anyone into fantasy can really dig. Now let's talk about the artwork. It starts off alright, not great, but still presentable. But over the years, the art improves drastically to the point where it's like its own art style. And again, this all started in 2004, so to see it like this now shows how dedicated Chu is with the series and how she wishes to improve. Not to mention, she's always good on updates, with very short delays only due to whatever is going on with her life. So while most webcomics tend to have those long delays, with this series, you hardly have to worry about that. Now after all of that, to be honest, there's hardly anything negative to say, really. Anything that I would have against the series would just be nitpicks. So really, it's just a matter of personal taste, whether or not this is something you would read. I could see people not liking the art style, especially in the beginning, since it heavily relies on the over-exaggerated facial expressions, which some people don't prefer. Also, the humor and drama might not be in their interests, given how it can sometimes feel childish, even if it's just from Buwaro. Though one gripe I have, which is something others would have a problem with, is the rate of release. In the past, the updates would be really frequent, like about 2 to 3 pages a week, but lately it's been down to once a week. The problem with that is that it slows down the story, and given how many of the events in the story are drawn out over a few pages, it feels like a month has gone by and we're still at one point in the overall story. At the time of this writing, we've just hit St. Curtis, but the idea to go there started in 2008, and it's now 2011. Now granted, Chu has an excuse for this. See, everyone has a life we have to attend to, and really, this is just a hobby that she really loves doing. She's also drawing other pieces of art, which can be found here, as well as a Zelda Ocarina of Time parody using her slightly damned cast. Plus, with her real job and family to attend to, she just wants to do whatever she wants whenever she can. At least we're glad enough to get weekly updates at all. Still, I wish the series would update more frequently, maybe twice a week, but otherwise, it's just something that other people need to have patience for. Overall, this series is definitely one of the best written webcomics I've ever read, with great characters, good humor, and a story that's interesting to get into. If you're a fan of fantasy stories and/or need a webcomic to read up on a Saturday, this is that webcomic. If you're not laughing by the time you're caught up, then something is seriously wrong with you. I'm the Media Hunter, and I need a new catchphrase.
Who told you you can eat my cookies?